So, here we go. Load. And I left at this very nice cliffhanger last time. And I guess that's where we'll just jump right back in without any further ado. I'll close some stuff in the background real quick so it doesn't annoy me. And one final check. I am recording. Good. Stream is running. Alright. What was happening? I think the last thing we saw was it was doing some kind of attack, and then we saw Kanon fucking cut in half or something. So I suppose we're not going to read anything pleasant right now. Just going to take the tea out of my tea. It's a little cat thingy, which is pretty cool. Alright, enough stalling. Here we go. With the curve drawn by the goat attendant's blade, drew a large arc in empty space. Kanon wasn't there. He was behind it. What the? Huh? But I thought last time we saw him getting sliced into 2 pieces. Go back and await your master's return. Die. Damn. That is not what I was expecting. I was pretty sure we'd start this Sunday off with Kanon dying. If this battle of drawing, sparkling curves was chess, then Kanon coming from behind was check. And press and press and press and press. Use 7 moves and make it mate. Perhaps the goat attendant hadn't even been granted the ability to go into death throes. As its knees buckled and it fell over, it broke into a bunch of gold butterflies with a pop. So there was no sound of it hitting the ground. Even those unable to understand this battle would surely realize that Kanon had been magnificent. Huh, so it couldn't win against a handmade piece. It seems you aren't quite that pathetic. You're next. Oh shit, he's just gonna attack her? Not sure if that's a good idea. The instant Kanon's blade sliced diagonally through the witch's form like a knife through butter, she turned gold and burst. She scattered into several thousand gold butterflies, and for just an instant the room was filled with the color of twilight. It was just as Kanon himself had said. Slicing Beatrice was just the same as slicing the surface of the water where the moon was reflected. Ah, hallo Christian, du hast nur verpasst, dass Kanon doch nicht gestorben ist. The witch's form, with an ordinary expression on its face, as though she'd been there the whole time, was right behind Kanon. Uh-oh. You've provided quite an entertaining show. Out of respect for that, I thought about letting you off the hook, but your rudeness now has made me change my mind. Oh no. He wanted too much. Hello, butler. Don't lie. I won't let you kill Milady. Even if that's impossible. I won't let you kill her while I still live. You can't even do that much. Do not speak, furniture. Be silent, furniture. Know your place, furniture. Kanon-kun isn't furniture. Oh? And what makes you think that? I don't need a reason. Kanon-kun is Kanon-kun. No, his real name's different, but a name doesn't make him furniture. Kanon-kun has his own way of living. It's a noble thing, and it's something he gets to decide for himself. You say he can't have an opinion because he's furniture, that he can't live his own life because he's furniture? That's wrong. Milady, you mustn't provoke her. No, I've got to make this clear. Kanon-kun is not furniture. He's human. Why? Kanon-kun rushed to save me of his own free will, and he stood in the path of a fearsome witch like you. He had so many chances to just let me go, but he didn't. Self-sacrifice is part of the noble spirit that only humans have. That means Kanon-kun is human. So take it back. Don't you call Kanon-kun furniture again. Milady. Uh-oh. Now what? He seems entertained. Be silent, human. Let's end this quickly, since this is still just the second twilight after all. Now I shall sacrifice the 2 who are close, who have acknowledged each other's dignity. Oh. Well then, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, lust. The witch summoned her furniture with a mixture of laughter and anger on her face. Who the fuck is that? I can see why she's lust. I mean, look at the outfit. Asmodeus of lust, right here. I've had enough of this farce. Quickly execute the second twilight. Don't keep me waiting, got it? As you command. Another weirdo shown up. I've seen sexier. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, but still, it kind of fits is what I'm saying. It took Kanon less than an instant to understand. The goat face from a second ago had been nothing more than a pawn to the witch. Original sprite. I actually like this one better in this case. If there's something called lust killing me, should at least put up a good show. Did you expect a pole dance or something? However, this newly summoned furniture was a game piece with a vastly different value. I could imagine that she actually just, like, put Jessica in danger so Kanon would defend her and they would, like, acknowledge the feelings to each other, for each other, and that would actually, like, make it the second Twilight, fitting to the second Twilight, because now they have acknowledged that they are close together. Close to each other, you know what I mean. Wow, I must be lucky to be given such a wonderful prey. You scared? How cute. Come, furniture of the witch. I won't be killed by you. You're acting pretty smart for a dude who can't even follow me with his eyes. Here I go, okay? Hey, where do you want it? Where do you want me to pierce you? Answer me, cutie. I'll pierce you good, wherever you want. Can I just... Come on, answer me, cutie. Just don't call me cute. Here I go, you dudes. Come on, try and follow me, you blind idiot. Oh, damn. Milady. Lust is not very polite. I agree. Couldn't follow it with my eyes, but my guess was spot on. Serves you right. Huh? Kanon's back had been the target, but Jessica had predicted it. What? No! She'd predicted that the witch's target would be the complete opposite of fair and honest, his back. But she had no way to block it. She hadn't planned on it being some act of self-sacrifice. She just couldn't think of any other way to protect Kanon's back, so she could do nothing but block it with her own back. The furniture of the witch, which had changed its form into a demon's stake, was buried deep into Jessica's back. It was an obviously fatal wound that reached as far as her lungs. When she saw this, the witch let out a loud evil laugh, because it had hit where the witch had predicted. Everything was as the witch had predicted. What's wrong, Kanon? Milady Jessica just got killed while you still lived, didn't she? Yes, that's it. That face, that look on your face is what I wanted to see. That's not very nice. How truly enjoyable. That's enough. Die, make me laugh. Come, arise, forgive the sin. Why did she say forgive the sin? Huh, okay. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, wrath. She just looks just the same. I mean, almost. Was expecting some angry... Whatever. Satan of wrath, right here. This prey is yours. Eat him up right now and close the curtain on his stage. If you were a human, I'd say it's time for you to step down, but since you're furniture, maybe you'd say it's time for the stage manager to carry you behind the stage. I am not furniture anymore. I won't doubt that again. It's a bit too late for that. Oh, what's this? You want to be killed by me again? Again? Your chest, it's so warm and it feels so good to pierce it. Come on, let me have another taste, okay? Won't you make me feel really good with that hot, fresh blood in that warm chest of yours? Odin. I should get rid of that text. Just notice that. The announcement that I started. 9. No. Sorry. Clicked the wrong thing. Yeah, I didn't want to open that. Okay. There was no way to block it. The sound of a woodpecker filled the entire room, and before he could blink, it was already right in the center of his chest. When you take a piece in chess, the rules say that it's impossible for your opponent's piece to defend itself. So this was an obvious result in accordance with the rules. Conan landed on his knees, and he apologized. Not to the witch, and not to Milady. He apologized to Jessica. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Don't worry about it. You were really cool. Conan finally fell over. He landed next to Jessica, and the two lay there like the constellation Gemini. You know, Conan-kun, you aren't furniture anymore. Yes, I was too late in realizing that. I wanted to ask you what your real name was. My real name is... Oh, I'm curious. In his last moments, Conan wanted to tell her his real name, but Jessica had already fallen into a sleep from which she would never wake. You can't watch the stream? Huh. And you can, like, lower the quality? Sometimes it lets you, sometimes it doesn't. Don't know why. So, Conan's real name, which he had protected until today, in the end, he couldn't tell it to Jessica. I became human. Those were the last words Conan left behind. Well, she's having a good time. Don't make me laugh, furniture. Even after 100 years, furniture will still be furniture. Have you ever heard of anyone stupid enough to dig a grave for their furniture when they throw it away? You smash furniture to pieces and make firewood so that all that's left is ashes. That's how it is. Furniture gets no tombstone. It seems you believe death means an end to your humiliation, but that's naive. I'll show you what it really means to disgrace the dead. Uh-oh. After taking a puff from her pipe, the witch breathed the smoke at Conan's corpse. When she did, Conan's corpse softly floated up into the air and disappeared as though it had been eaten by a mouth in empty space. The witch played dirty until the very end. The corpses of the pair who managed to understand each other in the end were not even permitted to be close. If someone had been watching, they would probably say mournfully, so this is what you meant by disgracing the dead. However, Beatrice was far crueler than that. The reason for that would soon become apparent. Oh damn, that's some foreshadowing or cliffhanger. Time goes back. Just 10 minutes though. I see. So it has begun. Yes. Even though Kinzo had received news of Six's death, his emotions did not waver. I suppose we cannot check those two yet because we jumped back in time. No. The expression on his face as he gazed out the window was a smile, as though his opponent in a chess game had just made a spectacular move. It was hard to imagine that such an expression could ever appear on a father who had lost so many children at once. Yeah, I mean, just 6 of your children. Well, no, wait, not 6 of his children. I mean, what was her name again? Kirya is not his child, and Hideyoshi is not. Right. So, still, some of his children. Goda and Kanon followed Rosa-sama's orders and went to call the police. After that, she ordered us to follow your orders, Master. What shall we do? This island has already been cut off from the real world. Mere phones will serve no purpose. Should I have them stop?
Until the roulette is finished, what they do to pass the time is up to them. Let them do as they please.
Yes, sir. What we should tell Rosa Summer?
Oh, didn't I say they should pass the time as they pleased? They can sing if they want, dance if they want. They're even free to hang themselves by the neck or jump into a boiling kettle. Until 13 people die, they can spend their time as they like.
Oh, okay, so the updates for the dead, I always only get them once they have been found.
If that's too boring, then they can wonder about whether 6 times 9 equals 42 or something.
The hell?
That's the answer to the mystery of humanity and the universe.
Was that like a reference to Hitchhiker's, what was the English name again? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yes, my apologies. Shannon cowered in fright at this sudden rage. Genji made a gesture as though telling her not to speak out of turn. Shannon couldn't help but regret saying too much.
However, you two are also free to do as you wish. Genji, and Shannon too. You have done well serving me until today.
Your words are too good for me. But, we are furniture who have sworn to serve the master. We stand ready to serve you no matter the time, until the very end. This is Kinzo is the last person I would imagine read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but okay.
I want to tell you about everything. Shannon, I am going to write a will. I shall need you to transcribe for me. Please, Genji, my usual drink. But make it extra large.
Yes, sir. Namjo often recommended that Kenzo write a will because of his health, but each time he had, Kenzo had gone mad with rage. So, did he just suggest that every day? Or, I mean, because Kenzo clearly seems to be mad every day. Ever since then, you'd think will would have been the word Kenzo hated the most. After hearing such a word come from his lips, Shannon couldn't help doubting her ears for an instant. Shannon hurriedly prepared the side table and some writing paper. Genji followed his orders and began preparing that usual green evil drink. I'm ready.
Where should I begin? Shall I also speak of my life? It would be fun to leave behind a record of my most memorable games. It can be truly amusing to read the records of old games from centuries past, to journey in search of those players' thoughts. So should the game record of my life lead those in the future to go on a journey in search for my thoughts?
For a while, Kinzo pondered over where he should begin, strutting all over the room with his hands behind his back. Master, here.
Ah, yes. Thank you, my friend. Well then, if I am to speak of my life, I must begin by writing of my meeting with that witch. Shannon, begin writing. My first meeting with Beatrice took place a long way back. What year of the Showa era was it? It must have been at the end of the war, so...
Okay. Oh, we don't get to hear that? We took enough time to regain our calm, and we each swore to our parents that we'd catch the culprit. It would be a lie to say we weren't still torn up. Even now, if we let our guards down just a little, we'd probably start going on a rampage, just like Jessica, letting our emotions show with some kind of violence. According to what Goda-san said after he got back, right now Kaonon-kun was looking after Jessica. Apparently she was still very emotionally high-strung. I see. Thank you. Maybe a young kid would be better at understanding a young kid's feelings. It would probably be better if we left them alone for now.
Ursa-san, there's nothing more to be gained by remaining here. The phones may not be working, but tomorrow the boat will come, and we should be able to reach the police.
Every time I hear this phrase, there's nothing to be gained, I immediately think of Silent Hill, where Dahlia Gillespie says there's nothing to be gained from floundering about at random. I don't know, just... connect this phrase with that moment in Silent Hill forever, for the rest of my life.
We should leave this place, as it is for the police's investigation.
I agree with Dr. Nanjo. Staying in a place like this for too long will be bad for your health. Let us return and make some black tea. Yeah, I agree with that. Battler-kun, George-kun, are you ready? Let's lock up here. We ought to leave this place as it is anyway, for when the police come. You're right. Batlakun, are you okay? Yeah. I've tried all I can. I'm fine now. The police would surely find some evidence during their thorough investigation, but we weren't adult enough to wait for that. I'd investigated the chapel in my own way, trying to grab the culprit before the police arrived, and what I figured out was absolutely nothing, frustratingly. I wasn't able to find a single hint. Come on, let's go out. Maria, we're going. Don't keep staring at it. Come, Maria-sama, let us return. It's cold here. Father, Mother, thank you for everything. I will definitely become a man who doesn't betray your expectations. George spoke his last words of farewell to his parents. After seeing that, Battler followed suit. Dad, Kiryu-san. Just looking at their faces, it looked like they were sleeping, but that just made it even more painful. Forgive me for leaving you in a cold place like this. I'll definitely get whoever did this, no matter what. Will you? What is this? What a repulsive scribble. Did the culprit draw it?
This is worse than vulgar. How horrible.
When the door to the chapel was closed, we learned about that creepy scribble for the first time. When we first found this, it was already drawn here. It must have been made by the culprit. So supposedly the culprit was a witch, and this is a magic circle to summon a demon or something. This is the 7th magic circle of the sun. Well, didn't take you that long. Didn't take you as long as last time to explain that. Or rather, didn't take the game as long as last time to get to that. Don't you even know that? Ow. Hey, don't I always tell you not to make that creepy laugh? Well, you tell her not to make a lot of things. Maria, go on. What does it mean? It's a magic circle to escape from physical or mental bonds. To escape from physical or mental bonds. Huh. And the part written around the circle says, "The Lord has freed me from my chains. I'll offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call on the name of the Lord," in Hebrew. Sacrifice of thanksgiving? So they killed Father and the rest to use them as human sacrifices for this magic circle? Calm down, George-kun. This is the culprit trying to provoke us. I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. Thinking about it will only poison the heart. It looks like there's some English written here. Happy Halloween for Maria. I get it. And the key to open this door was handed over to Maria. Is that what's going on? Well, this is the chapel after all. Maybe Maria doesn't mean Maria-chan, but the Virgin Mary. In that case, you could read this as a blasphemy against God in the name of Halloween. They say that witches who make contracts with the demons swear to defile God's name at all times. In that sense, this really is a witch-like crime. Sounds like you know a lot about it. Did you get that from Maria? Yeah, something like that. The chapel, huh? They went to all the trouble of calling them out here and killing them. Aunt Rosa, does this chapel have some special meaning? What do you mean, a special meaning? Well, someone carried 6 human corpses all the way over here and set up these elaborate decorations. What do you mean they carried them here? What makes you think they didn't murder them there? We can't tell if she called the 6 of them over here before killing them, or if she killed them before carrying them over here. But either way, it would take a lot of effort. Why did the culprit want 6 people to die here?
True. By doing something that elaborate, there would be an extremely high chance of some disadvantages and evidence being found when the police arrive. It is inconceivable that the culprit would fail to realize this. The issue now is why the culprit went to all that effort.
And that leads us to just one question. What meaning is there to this place where we found the 6 corpses? This chapel was important to Father. Ever since I was a kid, I was given strict instructions never to enter it. Oh, I came here once too, got in lots of trouble. Oh. An important chapel. Does it have some connection to the Rishidomiya head family? I don't know. Father viewed this chapel as very sacred, and he treasured it so much that he had it redecorated several times. But as everyone knows, Father wasn't a devout believer, as his passion for black magic demonstrates. Yeah, true. I've never heard of him coming here to offer his prayers to God. As far as I know, the master has never come here. We even call this the Sealed Chapel, and I found it eerie, like a haunted house. Even though Father never approached it himself, for some reason he made the servants give it a major cleaning several times a year. Huh. It felt like he kept it clean all the time, so that it could be used at any moment for sacrifices. And even so, it's called the Sealed Chapel. Maybe it's indiscreet to say this, but doesn't that sound pretty cool? Dr. Nanjo, you're an old friend of Grandfather's, right? Have you heard anything about it?
I did ask about it once long ago, but I forgot exactly how he dodged my question. That's right, I believe he said something like, someday perhaps I too will be able to receive a blessing there. But unless a miracle occurs, that day will never come.
What does that mean? What would he do in a chapel? He couldn't mean his own funeral, right?
I wouldn't believe that of Kinzo's son. He was a man much more focused on the living now than matters occurring after death. Though this does seem to be root cause of the current inheritance problem.
Then what would he do in a chapel? Pray? Aren't confessions done in a chapel too? Anyway, it sounds suspicious. I don't know the reason, but just as Dr. Nanjo said in Grandfather's eyes, all this about not being blessed unless a miracle occurred was set in stone as far back as this chapel's construction. How do you know that? See, it's clearly written over there. Look, right there. George Aniki pointed to a relief with rusted gold letters on the arch above the door. It looked like some message had been written there in English. The rust made it clear that the message had been there ever since the chapel's construction. I'm not that good with English. It's always funny having people speak English and then say that, because the game is not from originally in English. I'm not that good with English. What is it? This door is opened only at probability of... Sorry, my English sucks. I gave up after failing to finish even the first of the two lines. It looked like the others could read it properly. I think it went... What? MBTQ? What is he talking about? How many did that mean? I think anyway, this is incredible. Is he talking about, like, Roman numbers? I'm confused. Adding up all the fingers on both hands doesn't even get you close. It really would be impossible unless a miracle occurred. What the hell is he talking about? MBTQ? My beloved turtle quivers. I don't know.
Certainly, it's quite reminiscent of the old Kinzo's son who loved using gambling as a metaphor whenever he got the chance.
Hey, come on, can everyone read it? Someone tell me what it means too. You gotta at least learn English, you fucking idiot. How did you get into high school? Seriously, how did you get into high school without even being able to read this much? Ouch. Mind your own business. So, what's written there? Simply put, it means something like this. Unless a miracle occurs, this door will never be opened. Unless a miracle occurs, you will never be blessed. Grandfather's magic is based on astronomically low probabilities. In other words, a miracle for opening this door will probably require an incredibly vast amount of magical power. Ouch. Nice job. You can shut up now. Rosa-san, did you have Maria take English classes? Looks like it's useless to try and learn English unless you start when you're young, after all. No, I think all that means is that even a child is better at English than you. The Sealed Chapel, huh? Setting aside whether she was a witch or not, it's rumored that Beatrice actually existed several decades ago and was Grandfather's mistress.
This is just my imagination, but perhaps the master truly did love Beatrice-sama. However, he was already married, so they couldn't be united.
I see. If Beatrice was dead and could be revived with the magic of a miracle, then now that grandmother is dead, he could marry her openly. And if they married in this chapel, you might end up with a pretty fairy tale-like story, right? I don't think that story is so preposterous. It's a well-known fact that Father still loves Beatrice deeply. Not sure where it says this. Also, even though I said I found it creepy, I seem to remember that the interior of the chapel was quite magnificent. The thought that father built this chapel in the hopes of having a wedding, probably Rosa, with his dead mistress might not be that unlikely. By the time he built this chapel, grandfather probably knew that he would never use it as a church as long as he lived. But he prayed for the witch to be revived by some miracle, and he thought that if that miracle occurred, they could be married here.
I see. If you think of it that way, this would be a place of utmost significance to Beatrice Summer as well, even though he knew the chapel would never be opened. It's a story of tragic love.
Even though Goda-san was even bigger than me, his words were touching. Everyone was silent, but it seemed that they agreed with that view.
Even though he knew it was a chapel never to be opened, he still probably dreamed of the day that a miracle would occur.
Yeah, now it has been opened, but not exactly with the sight of happy marriage inside, rather happy intestines Halloween.
Kinzo-san was quite that romantic in his younger days. I think I understand how he felt.
I wonder. Then again, everyone went in it 4 times a year to clean, right? So much for it being the sealed chapel. Didn't we just go in ourselves? That wasn't a miracle or anything. We brought the key, click, and we're in. That's all. This is ridiculous.
Huh? What? Then what does that mean?
What are you talking about? As far as I could tell, I had just been joking around, finding myself a bit irritated by the sob story this was turning into, but then Aunt Rosa suddenly jumped on me with a really serious face. Probably she just realizes right now that the whole thing with the key is kind of impossible. Aunt Rosa's... although, as I said before, you could just copy the key and then put it in the envelope. Aunt Rosa's face grew increasingly pale. She looked at the magic circle on the door, and then at her hand, back and forth, back and forth.
What is the matter, Rosa-sama? Hey, Goda-san, the key to this chapel. Didn't Genji-san say it? He said there was only one.
Huh?
It took you way too long to figure it out.
When a kid pulls a prank, it sometimes goes unnoticed by the adults, and the kid who did it gets all disappointed. If such a prank then gets sprung on someone much later, it can really make a kid's day. Maria's celebration just now looked a lot like that.
Yes, that is right. There is only one of those keys. It's the key to the Master's treasure chapel, so there is only one with no duplicates. It is normally kept safe in the key box in the servant room, but... That's right. And Genji-san said it had gone missing. So someone stole it, put it in an envelope, and handed it to Maria? And they did it yesterday.
Yeah, but still, they could have copied it before that. What the... So in other words, isn't that strange? That's absurd. This is getting bizarre.
What do you mean? I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Me neither. Will you explain it for us?
Oda and Nanjo's failure to understand definitely wasn't because they were stupid. They didn't know. They didn't know how long the only key to the chapel had been in Maria's possession.
There's no mistake. It was locked up. I unlocked it. There is no doubt.
Aunt Rosa kept closing the door, locking it, pulling on it to check the lock, and opening it again. Her face was becoming pale again.
Until I took the key out of Maria's envelope and opened this door, it was definitely locked. But this key was in an envelope placed in Maria's care, and that happened yesterday before noon. What did you say? Well, that doesn't make any sense.
You're right. Maria received a one-of-a-kind key from a woman calling herself a witch midday yesterday. In other words, from midday yesterday until this morning when Rosa-san unlocked the door. This chapel was a closed room. How did they get those 6 people in here, and then how did they kill them? And how did they leave? The death of sex people, yeah. The death of sex people. What are sex people? I wonder. I'm sure you can find it. I'm just not going to say anything. The death of 6 people had shaken us badly. When we learned about that weird magic circle and the history of the chapel, we felt as though we'd figured at least part of this puzzle out. But that was all absolutely trivial. From midday yesterday until this morning, this chapel was a closed room. But our parents were with us until last night. How did the culprit get into this building? And how did they lock it up again? Oh. What are you trying to pull? Again? A closed room again? Are you trying to say you unlocked it with the power of magic? Don't take me for a fool.
If you're demanding that I show you how to open locks with my power, I wouldn't mind.
But that wouldn't be the same as me forcing you to surrender. You keep trying to explain it all with humans. Only when I've cornered all your theories completely will I have my victory. Come now, how will you undermine my defenses? What trick could a human have used to defeat them, huh? It's just like the closed rooms last time. Not enough information. It's impossible to reason like this. Any excuse could be made, any trick could work. There's no way to reason it out. Ha! That again? There's not enough information, so you'll wait and see. Your information is uncertain, so it's impossible to use your reasoning. This is always the excuse you humans use to let yourselves stop thinking. Who do you think you are, lowly human? Are you saying you can't even think unless you're like Laplace's demon? Who is that? You incompetent fool. Besides, you make it seem like a lack of information works against you, but it's the other way around, you see. The more information you're given, the more it will make you suffer. It'll only increase the strength of the compressor that's squeezing you. Oh, in that case, let me say this. It's impossible to verify that this is a closed room in the first place. If we're already talking about demons, I can play that game too. It would be possible to prove that this isn't a closed room. Just show how someone could have gone in or out and you're done. But it's impossible to prove that this is a closed room. You could never deny the endless set of possible methods for getting in. In other words, this is one of those devil's proofs. This concept of a closed room is actually something that can never be proved. So first you stop thinking with the lack of information as an excuse, and now this. Very well. If that is your move, then I will accept it. Continue. First off, it looks like you're trying to claim that the chapel's a closed room. Just a short while ago, I spent some time looking around in there, and I couldn't find any way in or out except for the door. But that just means I couldn't find one. It doesn't prove it was a closed room. If there's a hidden door or something that I wasn't able to find, your premise would be blown away completely. In other words, whether I managed to find a hidden door or not, you'll never be able to deny that there existed some method X that led you into the closed room. And this method X would be something that could be carried out without magic. After all, it's a hidden door. I'm sure that in this chapel there's some hidden door that's impossible to find. That's why there's no reason for me to reason it out, and magic is still impossible. Oh, so you'll use that logic? How naive. An expected move. Let me make my move in response. These closed rooms used in detective novels made by mere humans always seem utterly ridiculous to me. Why? Because they're used the wrong way. When a closed room appears in a detective novel, do you really think it's a closed room? You don't, do you? What trick did they use to make this look like a closed room? That's what you think. In other words, there hasn't been a completed closed room in any of the closed room murders that humans have built over the last century. Oh, better not say that unless you want to face the wrath of the mystery fans. Christie's probably grinding her teeth in her grave. You mean Agatha? But I am different. I have given birth to a true closed room, and I can demonstrate it. Why? Because I am a witch. For the devil's proof, you only had to bring someone a demon to prove that they exist, correct? Well, I conveniently happen to be a witch, meaning that demons are my good friends, and I can bring you as many of them as you like. Sounds great. Dad and the rest used a hidden door to enter the chapel, or I carried in through it. How do you plan to beat that move? With this, regardless of whether they were alive or dead, the six definitely entered through the door. Huh? Dumbass. The door was locked, so how'd they do it? I opened it with magic and invited them inside. That can't be true. Since I can't accept magic, there's no way I'll accept that. You're lying. That door can be opened with some trick. Or maybe there's a hidden door, but I won't accept any other way. Perpetual check. That's what we call an endless repetition of moves in chess. It's the same endless repetition as a discussion that won't advance because both sides deny the basis of each other's claims, like our game. In most games, this would be resolved as a draw, but that would put a terrible damper on our fun. We will have no draws. You will either accept me and submit to me, or you will deny me. At least I agree with you there. We'll settle this without fail, just as you wish. I like that attitude. So I had a thought. I think I'll add a new rule to this game between the two of us. A new rule? I'll bet it's something that'll give you an advantage, right? Of course not. I'll give you the thing people like you always demand. The reason you always stop thinking and then moan about it is a lack of information. And if you are then given information, you start doubting whether the information is true or not by rejecting the source. Isn't that convenient? What clever little words to hide your own incompetence. I'm offering to eliminate that convenient excuse of yours. You should thank me. You said they entered through the door, and I said that couldn't happen. Oh, you said they entered through the door, and I said that couldn't happen. Are you calling that an evasive answer? Exactly. So from now on, when I speak the truth, I will use red. Yeah, but how do we know that you speak the truth? What is this? Keep explaining. No matter what magical move I use, you can always keep running away by chanting lack of information and by rejecting the source. Even though I would still win in the end that way, it would be extremely boring. Because of that, I'd be happy I'd be happy to give you the information and sources you so desire. However, you'll probably doubt each word I say. That isn't bad in itself. I also will use every possible move to make you submit. I don't dislike our posture of searching out our best moves for our own goals. But that won't make a game, so I set up this rule. Everything I speak in red is the truth. There's absolutely no need to doubt it. Are you telling me to believe that? This is a game between you and me. In a game, the rules are sacred. Those who take that lightly are not qualified to play. Okay, I get you. I'll accept that rule. Even an elementary school kid can get into an endless argument and find fault with everything. Then let's start it up again, continuing where we left off. I'll say it one more time. Dad and the rest used a hidden door to enter the chapel or carried them through it. Then I shall repeat what I said. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, the 6 definitely entered through the door. Is there any proof? Stop. I will supplement the rule. When I speak the truth, I will use red. And when I do, I will not bear the responsibility of establishing that claim by showing proof. They will simply be facts and the truth. My reason is simple. I carried out all the crimes with magic. So for any impossible crime, all I have to do is wave my magic staff and show you how it's done. But that wouldn't make a game. It would be as barbaric as ignoring victory and defeat in a chess match and punching your opponent in the face. That would make for a very hilarious moment, though. Well, that makes sense. Since you're a witch, there's no need for you to show evidence for what happened. Since you can do anything with magic, damn it, talk about an unfair game. So shall we resume once more? The 6 definitely entered through the door. I unlocked it with magic. How will you get around this magic, this closed room? The key. Kenji-san and the others said there was only one key, but that's impossible to prove. The culprit secretly made a duplicate key. Oh, see, that's what I said. Only one key to the chapel exists. Oh, come on. Really? What about this? The culprit made something other than a legitimate key and opened it. I don't know what, but maybe a wire. A tool for picking locks. What is this naive move? It isn't possible to unlock the lock to the chapel with anything but the chapel's key. Although it can be opened with the power of magic, right? Then what about this? There's something wrong with the door itself. There was some way to pass through it even while it was locked. As to what that is, I can think of a few ways. Maybe it's like those big doors on a castle that have a smaller door in them. It's also possible that they removed the hinges and then removed the whole door before entering. Is this the best a century of human wisdom can manage, Battler? When the door to the chapel is locked, it prevents any and all methods of entry or exit. Assuming you can't use magic, right? Is it about time for checkmate? Not even close. You said those 6 people entered through a door, but you didn't say it was the front door. They might have entered through another door, a secret one. You talk too much, you incompetent fool. Oh, maybe he was right here, because she seems to want to change the subject. Or maybe not. Then let me expand on my earlier move. The 6 definitely entered through this front door. That's screwed up. The door was locked. It was impossible to unlock without using that single key, and yet 6 people entered through it. How? Well, I mean, you could unseal the letter, the envelope, and then seal it again in the night. With magic, you say? Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Are we already seeing the limits of what humanity can manage? Then shout that you resign. When one admits defeat, it's customary to shout it out and knock over their own king. So, do you resign? Then announce your surrender and knock your king over by kneeling. Then you may kiss my shoes. There could be no greater joy than forcing a man like you to lick my shoes. Damn it! It's useless. So I can't win against the witch? This isn't chess at all. I've just been made to take the losing side in a chess puzzle. Is quibbling around about details and getting a draw the best I can manage? That's the one thing that'll never happen. Either I will surrender, or you will. There can be no other resolution. What happened to that bravery you displayed when you said this would be torture for us both? Hey, what a disappointment, what a total letdown. Wouldn't you say you should me a battler? Damn it, what should I do? I can see it. I can see the place where I'll face checkmate. It's useless. All my hard-fought moves have been nothing more than me desperately moving my king around, running away from check. No matter how many times I move, I can't escape from check. So even without waiting for the next several moves, I can see checkmate in my future. Oh, damn it. After a few more moves, I can see where I'll face checkmate. Don't give up, Bushido-miya battler. If I can see myself getting closed in upon, then if I spin the chessboard around, I should be able to anticipate her next move, right? Remember what Kiryu-san said. When you're thinking about something, then the closer you get to the very, very end, the easier it becomes to anticipate. Spin it around. Spin the chessboard around. What happened? You felt silent all of a sudden. Fear not. Surrender is but a momentary shame. After that, all that remains is the joy of entrusting your fate entirely to the hands of your new master. Come on, cry out in resignation. I can't hear you. Speak up and say it clearly.
Enough babbling.
You're just refusing to listen. So I'll say it once more. I won't resign. Continue. Resume the game. Oh, very well. It is your turn after all. I made the mistake of thinking this rule you made was your own weapon. However, I've realized that it can also become a weapon for me. It all comes down to this. Please do give it a try. I've been focusing all this time on how they entered the closed room of the chapel. That approach was useless. It's useless. It's all useless. Spin the chessboard around. That's right. I was thinking about it backwards. This is how I should approach it. How was the chapel, which wasn't a closed room in the first place, made to look like a closed room? Here it comes. A thinking technique humans gave birth to over the course of the century. Give it a try. Say this in red for me. If you can't, then refuse. Here I go. Does this mean... Does this man intend to reverse his defensive posture? Impudence. I get that the only way to enter the chapel is through the door and that there's only one key, but wait. The question is whether that key really was handed over to Maria yesterday before noon. Yeah, I mean, you could also just have another envelope. You could give her an envelope with the wrong key. Then when everybody's sleeping, after you killed them all, you create another envelope with a proper key, and you then just switch them out, since they're all sleeping. Okay, the question is whether that the key really was handed over to Maria yesterday before noon. My, but you're dragging this on. Do try and get to the point. It's something like this. We've been under the impression that the key has been unusable since midday yesterday, so we've assumed that this was a closed room from midday yesterday until this morning. I want to hear you say that this impression of ours is a solid fact. Interesting. So you turn your reasoning not to the door, but to the key. Yesterday, Maria received an envelope from you. She didn't open it, but she might have felt it and known there was a key inside. But it's not like she'd have been able to confirm absolutely that it was the key to the chapel. Here's what I'm getting at. The thing inside the envelope given to Maria was a fake. If you think about what you're saying, it's ridiculous. This morning, Rosa definitely took an envelope out of Maria's handbag. Yeah. And from that obtained the genuine key to the chapel. It wasn't a fake, as you suggest. Yeah, but that doesn't... that doesn't mean it couldn't have been put there during the night. Huh, I know that much. I'll continue. In that case, when Maria first received the envelope, the thing inside it was definitely that same key to the chapel, right? Huh. She's not saying it. See what I'm getting at? Midday yesterday, you gave Maria an envelope with a key inside, and you told her that she mustn't open it. Maria probably realized it had a key inside. Later on, Aunt Rosa used the thing inside the envelope to open the door to the chapel, and that's why we assumed it was the key to the chapel all along. This is the suspicious part. So is this what you're trying to say? That when I entrusted Maria with the key, that key was a fake, and then by the time Rosa obtained it, it had been switched with the real thing? Yeah, that's it. What's wrong, Beatrice Summer? You've been looking a bit pale for a while now, huh? Those close to me sometimes call me Beato. Beato? Beato? Beato will do. It's your turn, Beato. Oh, we're close to her now. The turn of the Golden Witch. Let's see you dodge this. Very well. The key to the chapel truly was the object inside the envelope I gave Maria. Well, okay, so you still could have... I mean, then that brings me back to what I said earlier. You could go there at night, get it while everybody's sleeping, open the envelope, use the key, do the whole fancy murder thing, put the key into a new envelope and seal the new envelope since she had the ring anyway, and then put it back. I'll move forward. Can you repeat it in red? That envelope was completely under Maria's supervision until Aunt Rosa opened it. If you can't say it, then say you refuse. Check. I refuse. Ha ha. Damn. I've spun it all around with just one move. Now it's your king on the run, Beato. Huh. I have a reason for refusing. It regards the definition of the phrase under her supervision. In its purest meaning, Maria would need to have her eyes on it around the clock for that to be true. But Maria didn't go that far. It may have been completely under her supervision when she took it out of her handbag, but after she put it inside, it disappeared from her field of vision. In that sense, the phrase under her supervision would be inappropriate, so I couldn't use the red. Nothing more. Yeah, it makes it interesting. I'll bet that move hurt, and your face tells me you've guessed the next one. Sorry, I'm kind to women. I don't hurt them. And I never betray a woman's expectations. It's time for you to repeat it in red if you think you can. No one was able to touch Maria's handbag until Aunt Rosa took out the envelope. I will also refuse this one. I won't explain the reason. Yeah, the reason is simple. It's because what I just said is true. That's wrong. It's not that you won't explain it. It's that you can't explain it. That move gives us checkmate, doesn't it? If you can't do it, then I'll explain. The key to the chapel really was in the envelope you handed to Maria. Then Maria put it in her handbag, and the next morning Aunt Rosa took it out and opened the lock. However, Maria didn't have the handbag under her complete supervision. There's no need for magic. It's a closed room trick that's possible for a human. The human culprit handed Maria the key, and by making Aunt Rosa use it the next morning, they created the illusion that there was a closed room during that time. You can't deny the possibility that during that time, the culprit took the key from Maria's handbag, used it, and returned it by morning. Can you say it in red? Repeat it. If you can say it, then say it. It's check again. Not yet. I removed the check. The envelope with the key in it should have been sealed with wax. Rosa took it from an unopened envelope. Yeah, but bitch, you have the fucking ring. Really? Then try saying it. Repeat it. The envelope handed over midday yesterday and one Aunt Rosa opened are the same thing. That I can repeat. Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't prove anything. The envelope I handed over to Maria and the one Rosa opened are the same thing. Ha. It's useless. It's all useless. That doesn't even matter anymore. I expected more from you. I figured that if you were a bit better at reading between the lines, you'd resign right there. So I'm disappointed. You've betrayed my expectations. What? Who cares if the envelopes were the same? Envelopes can be sealed with wax over and over. The key inside is what's important. This time it's all over, Golden Witch. It's a real checkmate. I'll say it one more time, repeat it. If you can say it, try saying it. The key to the chapel inside the envelope Maria received wasn't used even once until Aunt Rosa opened the envelope.
How could I? Against the lonely human.
I'll keep on saying it, Beatrice. Repeat it. The key to the chapel inside the envelope Maria received wasn't used even once until Aunt Rosa opened the envelope. If you're gonna yell, then say you resign. This settles it. This is the truth. Before Aunt Rosa obtained Maria's key this morning, at one point, it passed to someone else's hands. Then they used it, resealed it, and returned it to Maria's handbag, making it look like it hadn't been used. This is a trick with a cheap loophole, the assumption that the key wasn't used because the sealing wax wasn't opened. Checkmate. There's no magic, and it's nothing more than a trick that's possible for humans. In that case, who do you say stole the key? Try answering. This time, you try repeating it. That's right. I'm making you repeat things all the time. I probably have to answer every once in a while. But I refuse. My condition for victory is denying a witch's existence. I'll prove that this impossible crime done with your magic was actually possible by human hands. I've smashed your closed room. It's something possible even for humans. However, I won't specifically investigate who the culprit is. Because I believe in humans. Because I definitely won't accept that there's a person among us who would steal the key from Maria, use it, and do something so horrible. I give up. I resign. Just once for this skirmish, I'll give up. But you really are naive, battler. Parting remarks are loser's privilege. Say as many as you like. Since you continue to deny my existence, you will eventually be cornered. After all, since you deny me, you will have to suspect those relatives that you can't stop loving. In the last moment, when you have to suspect one who is beloved to you, then you will surely accept my existence. True, you have defeated me in this skirmish alone. However, that naive logic will definitely destroy you. You can't win against me after all. Ushido Miyabella. Well, okay, I didn't expect that.